I want that too. And I want you to know something. That longing you feel, that's not weakness. That's not desperation. That is the purest, most beautiful part of you speaking. That is the mother inside you already reaching out into the world, already practicing love, already preparing for something that is written for you, the dough. But here is what I want to talk about tonight, because this is the part that breaks me a little when I think about it. You have been practicing motherhood your entire life, and you don't even know it. Every time you took care of someone who was falling apart, that was you. Every time you stayed up late with someone who was crying and needed a voice on the other end, that was you. Every time you gave your last bit of patience, your last bit of energy, your last bit of softness to someone who didn't even thank you for it, that was you. You have been pouring love into people who sometimes didn't deserve it, and you did it anyway, because that's just the way you're made. That is the kind of mother you already are, even now, before the baby, before the nursery, before the tiny clothes folded neatly in a drawer. Dumi. And that child, your child, they are going to be so lucky, so unbelievably, extraordinarily lucky. Dumi. I think about them sometimes. I think about this little person who doesn't exist yet. Or maybe they do. Maybe they're already here, and just young and watching you figure out life. And I think about what they're going to see when they look at you. They're not going to see the version of you that doubts herself at 2 in the morning. They're not going to see the version of you that cried in the car because it all felt like too much. They are going to see her, the real her. They're going to see warmth and safety and home. They're going to look at your face and feel everything they ever needed to feel in this world. Like nothing can truly hurt them as long as you're there. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Do you understand how rare that is? Most people go their whole life searching for one person who makes them feel that safe, that seen, that loved unconditionally. And your child, they're going to have that from the very first breath they take. Because of you. Because of who you are. Because of this heart that you've been carrying around. Sometimes treating like a burden, when really it has always been a gift. Now I want to be honest with you. I want to be the kind of person who doesn't just tell you the beautiful parts, because you're too intelligent for that, and you deserve honesty, not just comfort. There are going to be hard days. Days when motherhood doesn't feel like a soft light and a lullaby. Days when it feels like you're running on empty, and someone still needs something from you that you don't know how to give. There are going to be moments when you question yourself, when you sit in the bathroom for 5 extra minutes because it's the only quiet you'll have all day. When you wonder if you're doing it right, if it's enough, if you're enough. And I want you to hear this clearly. Those moments don't make you a bad mother. They make you human. They make you real. And your child will love you, not in spite of those moments, but through them. Because what they'll remember is not your perfection. They'll remember that you stayed. They'll remember that you always came back. They'll remember the way you smelled, and the way your hands felt, and the sound of your voice when you said their name. That's what matters. That's what lasts. That's what lasts, you mine. And here's something I don't think anyone has told you lately. Something I feel like I need to say because the world hasn't been kind enough to say it. You have carried so much more than people realize. You have carried heartbreak that reshaped you. You have carried disappointment after disappointment with a kind of grace that honestly takes my breath away. You have rebuilt yourself quietly, privately, without applause, without anyone standing at the finish line telling you how brave you were. You just did it. You just kept going. Because that is what you do. That is who you are. Tuime, do you ever sit with yourself long enough to recognize that? I wonder if you ever look in the mirror and see what I see. Someone who has been through real things and still chose softness, still chose love, still chose to keep her heart open even when every reasonable part of her said to close it, to protect it, to stop giving it away so freely. Tuyen, that openness, I need you to protect it. Please, because the world will try to harden you. People will disappoint you in ways that make you want to build walls so high that nobody can ever reach you again. And sometimes, Sometimes those walls will feel like safety. But I'm asking you not to let them become permanent. Because your child is going to need exactly that openness. They are going to need a mother who can hold their heart without flinching. They are going to need someone who knows what pain feels like and still chooses love on the other side of it. They are going to need you, exactly you, with all your softness intact. Well, I keep coming back to this image. It's not dramatic, it's not grand, it's actually the simplest thing. But I imagine you sitting somewhere, maybe in the kitchen in the early morning while everything is still quiet, holding a cup of something warm, and your child walks in and comes to you without even saying a word, just leans against you because that is where they go when the world feels like too much. That is their place. You are their place. And the two of you just sit there in that quiet, and you rest your cheek on the top of their head, and for a moment, everything that ever hurt you, every night you cried alone, every time you wondered if any of this was worth it, it all becomes so completely, profoundly worth it. In that one moment that you don't even have words for it, that moment is coming for you. I believe that with everything I have, but I also want to say something about right now, because I think we spend so much time looking toward the future that we forget to love the person who is living through the present. And right now, tonight, in this moment, while you're listening to me, you are enough. Not the future version of you, not the version who has it all figured out. This version, the one who is tired and still trying, the one who is scared and still showing up, the one who has been disappointed and still dares to hope. She is enough. She is more than enough. You know, I think about all the women listening to this, and I think about how different all of your lives are, different cities, different stories, different kinds of heartbreak, different kinds of love, and yet here we are, sharing this moment together. And the thing that connects all of you, the thread that runs through every single one of you, is this quiet, unshakable capacity to love, to nurture, to hold, to stay. That is not something you were taught. That is something you were born with. And it is the most powerful thing I have ever witnessed. I want to ask you something, and I want you to really sit with it, really feel it before you answer. When was the last time someone took care of you the way you take care of everyone else? When was the last time someone looked at you and said, I see how hard you're working. I see how much you're carrying. You don't have to do this alone. When was the last time you let yourself be held? Because you deserve that too. Not just the giving, but the receiving. Not just being the one who holds everyone together, but being held yourself. Tenderly by someone who understands the weight of everything you've been carrying. What? I want to be that voice tonight. I want to be the one who says, put it down for a moment. Whatever you've been holding, the guilt, the fear, the wondering if you're enough, put it down for just this moment. And let yourself breathe. You have been so strong for so long. And strength like yours doesn't have to prove itself every single day. There is something I keep thinking about that I haven't said yet. And I think it's the truest thing I'll say to you tonight. The love you have inside you, it didn't come from nowhere. It came from somewhere real. It came from the hard things you survived, and the soft things you chose afterward. It came from every moment you could have become bitter, and you didn't. It came from every time someone broke your trust, and you somehow, impossibly, still found it in yourself to trust again. That love is earned. It is not innocent or naive. It is wise, and it is brave, and it has been tested, and it survived. That is the love you are going to give to your children, and they will feel the difference. They will feel the weight and the realness of it. They will know the way children always know, that this love costs something, and that makes it the most precious thing in the world. I need you to stop being so hard on yourself. I need you to stop measuring your value by how much you produce, how much you sacrifice, how perfectly you perform love. Love is not a performance. It never was. It's a presence. And your presence, just you, just the warmth that comes off of you when you walk into a room, just the way you listen, the way you remember the little things, the way you show up, that presence is already everything. Your child is going to grow up knowing what it feels like to be truly, completely loved. And in a world like this one, in a world where so many people are still searching for that feeling, what greater gift could there be? What more extraordinary legacy could a person leave? I keep wanting to hold on to this moment with you. I keep finding more things I want to say, more things I want you to know, because I feel like you don't hear them enough, and I'm not ready to let this go just yet. There's still so much about who you are, about what's waiting for you, about the love that is moving toward you right now, even in the moments when everything feels still and silent and uncertain. And I know there are nights when the silence gets so loud that it feels like a presence in the room. When you lie there staring at the ceiling and the questions start coming, one after another, relentless and quiet at the same time. Am I doing enough? Am I becoming the person I was supposed to be? Is any of this going in the right direction? And the hardest one, the one you push away fastest because it scares you the most. What if I end up alone? Indeed, I want to sit with you in that question. I don't want to rush past it the way everyone else does. I don't want to say, oh, you won't stop worrying and move on, because you deserve more than a dismissal. That fear is real, and it's human, and it belongs to you, and I'm not going to pretend it doesn't exist, just because it's uncomfortable to hold. Comfort. But here's what I want you to understand about that fear. It is not a prophecy. It is not the universe showing you your future. It is the sound of a heart that has loved deeply and been hurt deeply, and is trying to protect itself from ever feeling that kind of pain again. That fear is not wisdom. It is a wound that hasn't finished healing yet. And wounds lie to us. They tell us that the thing that hurt us will always hurt us. They tell us that the people who left are proof that everyone will leave. They dress themselves up as intuition, and they whisper things in the dark that feel like truth, but are really just old pain, looking for a way to keep you small and safe and still. Tove, you are not meant to be still. You are not meant to be small. I want to talk about the version of you that you show the world versus the version of you that exists when no one is watching. Because I think there's a distance between those two women, and I think that distance is where a lot of your exhaustion lives. The version you show the world, she's composed, she's got it together, she knows what to say and when to say it. She laughs at the right moments, and she doesn't let too much show. She is capable and strong, and people look at her and think she's fine. She doesn't need anything. She's one of those people who just handles things. And, in a way, that version of you is real. She is you. She is part of you, but she is not all of you. The version that exists when no one is watching. She is so much more interesting to me. She's the one who reads the same paragraph 3 times because her mind is somewhere else. She's the one who rewrites text messages 4 times before sending them because she's terrified of being too much or not enough. She's the one who sees something beautiful, a sunset, a song, a stranger being kind to another stranger, and feels it so deeply in her chest that she almost can't breathe from the weight of how much she is capable of feeling. She cries at things she doesn't tell people she cried at. She has opinions she keeps quiet because she learned somewhere along the way that being too much was dangerous. She has dreams she stopped saying out loud because the last time she said them out loud, someone made her feel foolish for having them. Dunno. I see her. I see that woman. And she is the one I'm talking to tonight. Because the composed version, she doesn't need me. She's got it handled. But that other woman, the real one, the one who feels everything at full volume, and has spent years trying to turn it down, she needs to hear that she is not too much. She has never been too much. Every single person who made her feel that way was simply not enough. Not enough capacity, not enough depth, not enough willingness to sit inside the intensity of truly knowing someone. That was their limitation, not her flaw. And your children are going to be born to a woman who feels everything fully. Do you understand what a gift that is going to be for them? They are not going to grow up in a house where love is implied but never spoken. They are not going to wonder. They are going to know, in the way that children know things in their bodies before they know them in their minds, that they are wanted and chosen and seen every single day, not just on birthdays and holidays. Every ordinary Tuesday, every difficult morning, every night when everything feels uncertain, they are going to know. The what? Can I tell you something that I've never heard anyone say out loud? I think one of the most underrated qualities a mother can have is the ability to sit inside discomfort without running from it. And you have developed that ability through years of living through things you didn't choose. You know how to stay, you know how to be present inside the hard moments without immediately trying to fix them or escape them. You know how to say, this is painful and I'm going to feel it anyway, because you've had to do that your whole life. And that capacity, that rare, hard-won capacity, is going to make you the kind of mother who can sit with a crying child at midnight and not panic, not project, not make it about yourself. You're going to be able to be fully there, fully present, fully with them in whatever they're going through. And they will remember that their whole lives they will carry that feeling of being truly met by someone into every relationship they ever have. You will be the standard. You will be the proof that real love doesn't run. Now I want to say something about the future, not the distant, dreamy future, but the near one. The one that's closer than you think, even when it doesn't feel that way. I know you have been patient, and I know that patience has not always been rewarded on the timeline you hoped for. I know there have been moments where you did everything right. You were kind, you were open, you were brave, and the thing you wanted still didn't come. And that is one of the most quietly devastating experiences a person can have. Not a dramatic loss, not a sudden ending. Just a slow accumulation of hoping and waiting and the thing not arriving. That particular heartbreak doesn't have a name and it doesn't get enough acknowledgement. And I want to acknowledge it tonight. Would you have been brave enough to want things? That takes more courage than most people will ever admit. Because wanting something means risking not getting it. And you have risked that again and again. And some of those risks didn't pay off, and you got hurt, and you healed, and then somehow, impossibly, you risked again. That cycle of hope and hurt and healing and hope again is not weakness. That is one of the most extraordinary things a human being can do. That is what it looks like to refuse to give up on yourself. Don't give up on yourself. I want to tell you about love, real love, the kind that is coming for you, the kind that already exists in spaces you haven't walked into yet. Because I think somewhere along the way someone taught you that love is supposed to be difficult. That the intensity of the struggle is proof of the depth of the connection. That if it doesn't hurt, it's not real. And I understand where that came from. I do, because sometimes the relationships that marked us deepest were also the ones that cost us the most. But I need you to unlearn that. Because I think somewhere along the way someone taught you that love is supposed to be difficult. That the intensity of the struggle is proof of the depth of the connection. That if it doesn't hurt, it's not real. And I understand where that came from. I do, because sometimes the relationships that marked us deepest were also the ones that cost us the most. But I need you to unlearn that. Because the love that is made for you is not going to feel like a war you're losing. It's not going to feel like holding your breath and waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's not going to require you to shrink or perform or earn your place every single day. The love that is coming for you is going to feel like exhaling for the first time in years. It's going to feel like being known, truly known, the dark parts and the soft parts and the complicated parts, and chosen anyway. It's going to feel like safety without boredom, like excitement without anxiety, like passion without pain. And I know that might sound too good, too clean, too far from what you've experienced. But I need you to hold space for the possibility that love doesn't have to come with suffering attached to it, that you don't have to bleed for it to count. It's going to look at you and see a future. It's going to look at you and think about children, about mornings, about growing old, about building something that lasts. It's going to look at you and feel certain in a way that it has never felt certain about anyone else. And it's going to choose you clearly, consistently, without hesitation, without games, without making you wonder where you stand. And on the day that happens, on the day you feel that for the first time, I want you to remember this moment. I want you to remember that you held on long enough to get there. I think about you at different stages of your life, and it moves something in me that I can't quite describe. I think about you as a little girl before the world got complicated, before disappointment taught you to hold back. And I think about how full of wonder you must have been, how you must have loved without reservation, how you must have dreamed without limits. And then I think about everything that happened between then and now, everything that tried to talk you out of that wonder, everything that tried to replace your softness with armor, and I think about the fact that some of that softness is still there. You still have it. It's been protected, maybe buried under some necessary walls, but it's there. I can tell it's there by the way you're still listening, by the fact that you're here, letting these words reach you, letting yourself feel something. A person without softness left would have walked away already. Kyung, you stayed, and I'm so glad you stayed. Kyung, because I need you to hear this next part very carefully. What you are going through right now, the uncertainty, the waiting, the in-between, it is not a sign that you have missed your life. It is not punishment. It is not evidence that you are behind or broken, or that the good things are not for you. It is the space between chapters. And I know that space feels endless when you're inside it. I know it feels like nothing is moving, like everyone else is living their story, while you're still standing in a hallway waiting for a door to open. But that hallway is not your home. It is not where the story ends. It is simply where you are standing right now. And the door, the right door, the one that leads to everything that was always meant for you. It is right there, even if you can't see it yet. Even if your hands are tired from knocking on doors that weren't yours to open. I want to talk about your body for a moment, because I think this is something that doesn't get said enough, and you need to hear it. Your body, the one you have right now, the one you have sometimes looked at with criticism, the one you have maybe wished was different in certain moments. That body is going to do something extraordinary. It already has. It has carried you through everything. It has gotten up every morning even when the mind didn't want to. It has held grief and continued breathing. It has housed the heart that refuses to stop loving even when love has been painful. And one day it may hold a new life, and it will know exactly what to do. Because bodies carry wisdom that minds forget. Because something in you, something ancient and instinctive and profound, already knows how to do this. Already knows how to protect and nourish and welcome. You don't have to learn how to love your child. That knowledge is already written inside you. And I think about the nights you will spend awake, not from insomnia, not from worry, but from the breathtaking reality of a small person sleeping in the next room who is yours, who came from you, who looks at you like you hung every star in the sky. Those nights are going to rearrange everything inside you. They are going to make you understand, in a way that nothing else ever could, what you were made for. Not just motherhood, but love. The full, terrifying, beautiful, endless capacity for love that you have been carrying inside you your entire life, sometimes not knowing what to do with it, sometimes giving it to people who didn't handle it carefully enough. Your child will handle it carefully. Your child will be the one person in this world who receives your love exactly the way it was always meant to be received, completely, without condition, without confusion, and you will receive theirs the same way. And that exchange, that pure and simple and extraordinary exchange, is going to heal parts of you that you didn't even know were broken. There is still so much I want to say to you, There is still so much I feel pressing against the inside of my chest, trying to find the right words. About the mornings that are coming. About the version of you that is still being built right now, quietly in the spaces between the hard days. About the love that is not behind you but ahead of you, waiting with more patience than you have ever given yourself. And I want you to know something about patience, real patience. The kind that isn't passive, the kind that isn't just sitting still and waiting for life to happen to you. The patience I'm talking about is active. It moves, it prepares, it shows up every day and does the quiet work of becoming. Even when there's no audience, even when there's no applause, even when the results aren't visible yet. And that is exactly what you have been doing. Every single day that felt ordinary, every day that felt like nothing was changing, every day you woke up and chose to keep going. Even when keeping going felt like the hardest thing in the world, that was the work, that was the preparation, that was the becoming. You're not behind. I need you to hear that and actually let it land somewhere inside you, instead of just passing through. You're not behind. There is no schedule. There is no timeline that the universe handed out at the beginning of everything with your name on it and a series of deadlines you've already missed. That story was invented by people who were afraid of their own lives and needed everyone else to move at the same pace so they wouldn't feel so alone in their fear. Don't let their fear become your measurement. Don't let someone else's chapter 2 make you feel ashamed of still being in chapter 1. Your story has a different structure. Your story has always had a different structure. And the things that are coming in your later chapters are going to make everything that came before make sense in a way that will take your breath away. Not the big ones, not the talks about life and death and right and wrong, though those will come too and you will handle them with more grace than you know. I think about the small ones. The ones that happen in the car when a song comes on and your child asks you what it means. And you tell them something true about yourself, something you've never said out loud before. And they look at you, not like you're their parent for a moment, but like you're a person, a real full complicated person. And they say, I didn't know that about you. And you smile, and it's the most honest smile you've ever worn, because in that moment you are not performing anything. You are just you, completely you, seen by someone who loves you without any conditions attached. And that feeling, that simple, extraordinary feeling, is going to be worth every single night you spent, wondering if any of this was leading anywhere. Yo, you, it was leading here. It was always leading here. But tonight, I don't just want to talk about the future. I want to talk about you right now, in the present, in this exact moment of your life. Because I think the present you gets overlooked a lot. Everyone wants to talk about who you'll become and what's coming and how it's all going to work out. And yes, I believe all of that. I believe it completely. But I don't want to skip over who you are right now, today, in this season of your life that feels incomplete and uncertain and sometimes unbearably quiet. But and renaissance, who you are right now is someone worth loving, not the future version. Not the healed version, not the version that has everything figured out and the life that looks beautiful from the outside. This version, the one who is still in the middle of it, the one who is figuring it out in real time, making mistakes and learning from them and sometimes making the same mistake again, because healing is not linear and growth is not a straight line and being human is messy and non-linear and completely perfectly imperfect. That woman, this woman, she deserves love right now. She deserves tenderness right now. She deserves someone who looks at her in the middle of all the uncertainty and says, I'm not waiting for you to be finished. I want you now, exactly as you are in the middle of the becoming, who are you. And I know that sometimes the loneliness of this season hits you in unexpected places. Not always at night, not always in the quiet. Sometimes it hits you in the middle of a crowded room, when everyone around you is laughing and you're laughing too. But there's a part of you that feels so far away from everything, so on the other side of a glass wall, watching life happen around you. but not quite feeling like you're inside it. That particular loneliness, the loneliness you feel surrounded by people, is one of the hardest ones to explain and one of the hardest ones to heal. Because from the outside, everything looks fine. You look fine, you are fine, in all the ways that can be measured. But inside, in that private interior world of yours that very few people ever get to visit, there is a quiet ache that doesn't have a name. Though, I know that ache, and I want you to know that it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means you are someone with a deep interior life, someone with a rich and complex inner world, and you haven't yet found enough people who can meet you there. That is not a flaw in you, that is a flaw in the matching. The people who can meet you there exist. They are out there right now, living their lives, carrying their own unnamed aches, wondering the same things you're wondering, feeling the same sense of almost but not quite. And your paths are moving toward each other even now, even in the stillness, even in the waiting. One of those people is going to be your child. And I want to say something about that I've never heard anyone say before. Your child is not just someone you are going to raise. They are going to be one of the great relationships of your life. Not in a way that's inappropriate or puts too much weight on them, but in the truest sense of the word relationship, which means two people who genuinely know each other, who affect each other, who grow because of each other. Your child is going to teach you things. They are going to show you parts of yourself you didn't know were there. They are going to look at the world with fresh eyes and hand that freshness back to you on the days when the world has started to feel worn and predictable. They are going to say things that stop you mid-step because the simplicity and truth of it cuts right through all the complicated noise you've been living inside. They are going to be your mirror in the best possible way, showing you your own best qualities reflected back at their purest before life has had a chance to complicate them. And in those moments, and there will be so many of them, scattered all throughout the ordinary days, you are going to feel something that I can only describe as completion. Not the completion that means finished or done, but the completion that means whole. The sense that the missing piece has arrived, that the part of yourself you've been reaching toward your entire life has finally come home. Look, I want to talk about the hard days of motherhood too, because I promised you honesty and I meant it. And I think painting only the soft picture would be a disservice to everything you are. There are going to be days when you feel completely lost inside it, when the love is so enormous and the responsibility is so enormous and the exhaustion is so enormous that all of those enormous things press against each other inside your chest, and you don't know whether to cry or scream, or simply sit down on the kitchen floor and stare at the wall for 5 minutes, because that's the only thing that feels manageable. There are going to be days when you say the wrong thing and see it register on your child's face and carry the weight of that for days afterward. There are going to be days when you look at your life and feel the gap between what you imagined and what is actually in front of you, and grieve that gap quietly, privately, guiltily, because who am I to grieve anything when I have this beautiful life, when I have this child, when I have so much, and the guilt about the grief makes the grief worse, and suddenly you're in this spiral of feeling too much and judging yourself for feeling it. On those days, I want you to remember this moment. I want you to remember that I told you this was coming, and I told you it didn't make you a bad mother. It makes you a real one. The mothers who never struggle are not the good ones. They are the ones who have disconnected from their own experience, who have flattened themselves into a performance of motherhood rather than living inside the actual thing. You are going to live inside it, fully, messily, beautifully inside it. And that is exactly where the real love lives, not in the performance, but in the living. Chubby, you know what I find remarkable about you? And I mean this not as a compliment designed to make you feel good, but as a genuine observation about who you are. You have an extraordinary ability to find meaning in things, even the painful things. Even the things that by all reasonable measures should have just been losses, and nothing more. You find something in them, a lesson, a shift, A small quiet opening towards something you wouldn't have found otherwise. That is not a common gift. Most people move through pain trying to get out of it as fast as possible. You somehow, almost against your will, find your way to the center of it and stay long enough to understand it. And then you carry what you learned back out with you into the light. Well, that is going to be one of the most important things you pass on to your children. Not consciously, not in a lesson you sit them down to teach, but in the way you live. They are going to watch you move through difficulty. And they are going to learn by watching you that difficulty is not the end of the story. That hard things can be survived. That you can feel the full weight of something painful and still come out the other side. Not just intact, but somehow more yourself than you were before. There is no textbook that teaches that. There is no curriculum. That is learned by watching someone you love do it in real time. And they are going to watch you do it. And it is going to shape them in ways that ripple outward for generations. Girl, now, I keep thinking about your hands. I don't know why, but I keep coming back to your hands. The things those hands have done, the people they have reached for, the things they have built, the times they have covered your face when you were trying to hold yourself together, the times they have reached out in the dark looking for something to hold on to. Those hands are going to hold a child's face someday. They are going to wipe tears from a face that looks a little like yours, and a little like someone else's, and a little like nobody who has ever existed before. They are going to braid hair, and pack lunches, and wave goodbye at school doors, and reach for a small hand in a parking lot, and feel that hand hold on tightly, because to that child your hand is the safest place in the entire world. Your hands are going to do holy work. I don't use that word lightly. I mean holy in the truest sense. Sacred, set apart, meaningful beyond what any language can fully capture. The work of raising a human being, of holding a small soul and saying, I've got you, I will stay, I will always come back. That is the most profound thing one person can do for another. And you are going to do it. Not perfectly, not without struggle, but with so much love that the imperfection will always be held inside something larger than itself. I want to ask you something, and I want you to really feel it before you answer. What would it mean for you to fully believe, not just intellectually, not just on the surface, but in your bones, in the deep quiet part of yourself, where all the truest things live? What would it mean to fully believe that you are exactly where you're supposed to be, that nothing has been wasted, that the heartbreak served a purpose, that the waiting is not a punishment, but a preparation, that the version of you being built right now, in this exact season of difficulty and uncertainty and growth, is the version that your children are going to need. Not the version that skipped the hard parts, not the version that had it easy. This version, the one that went through the fire and came out knowing what heat feels like, knowing how to protect the people she loves from it, knowing how to sit with them inside it when protection isn't possible. What would it mean to believe that you are not running late, but arriving exactly on time? Because I believe that about you, completely, without reservation. And I know that my believing it doesn't automatically make you believe it too. That's not how it works. That's not how healing works. You can't simply receive someone else's certainty and let it replace your doubt. But maybe just for tonight you can borrow it. Maybe just for this moment you can set down the doubt and the fear. Don't know whether to cry or scream, or simply sit down on the kitchen floor and stare at the wall for 5 minutes, because that's the only thing that feels manageable. There are going to be days when you say the wrong thing and see it register on your child's face and carry the weight of that for days afterward. There are going to be days when you look at your life and feel the gap between what you imagined and what is actually in front of you, and grieve that gap quietly, privately, guiltily, because who am I to grieve anything when I have this beautiful life, when I have this child, when I have so much? And the guilt about the grief makes the grief worse, and suddenly you're in this spiral of feeling too much and judging yourself for feeling it. On those days, I want you to remember this moment. I want you to remember that I told you this was coming, and I told you it didn't make you a bad mother. It makes you a real one. The mothers who never struggle are not the good ones. They are the ones who have disconnected from their own experience, who have flattened themselves into a performance of motherhood rather than living inside the actual thing. You are going to live inside it, fully, messily, beautifully inside it. And that is exactly where the real love lives, not in the performance, but in the living. Chubby, you know what I find remarkable about you? And I mean this not as a compliment designed to make you feel good, but as a genuine observation about who you are. You have an extraordinary ability to find meaning in things, even the painful things. Even the things that by all reasonable measures should have just been losses, and nothing more. You find something in them, a lesson, a shift, a small quiet opening towards something you wouldn't have found otherwise. That is not a common gift. Most people move through pain trying to get out of it as fast as possible. You somehow, almost against your will, find your way to the center of it and stay long enough to understand it. And then you carry what you learned back out with you into the light. Well, that is going to be one of the most important things you pass on to your children. Not consciously, not in a lesson you sit them down to teach, but in the way you live. They are going to watch you move through difficulty, and they are going to learn by watching you that difficulty is not the end of the story, that hard things can be survived, that you can feel the full weight of something painful and still come out the other side, not just intact, but somehow more yourself than you were before. There is no textbook that teaches that. There is no curriculum. That is learned by watching someone you love do it in real time. And they are going to watch you do it. And it is going to shape them in ways that ripple outward for generations. Girl, now, I keep thinking about your hands. I don't know why, but I keep coming back to your hands. The things those hands have done. The people they have reached for. The things they have built. The times they have covered your face when you were trying to hold yourself together. The times they have reached out in the dark looking for something to hold on to. Those hands are going to hold a child's face someday. They are going to wipe tears from a face that looks a little like yours, and a little like someone else's, and a little like nobody who has ever existed before. They are going to braid hair, and pack lunches, and wave goodbye at school doors, and reach for a small hand in a parking lot, and feel that hand hold on tightly, because to that child your hand is the safest place in the entire world. Weak your hands are going to do holy work. I don't use that word lightly. I mean holy in the truest sense. Sacred, set apart, meaningful beyond what any language can fully capture. The work of raising a human being, of holding a small soul and saying, I've got you, I will stay, I will always come back. That is the most profound thing one person can do for another. And you are going to do it. Not perfectly. Not without struggle, but with so much love that the imperfection will always be held inside something larger than itself. I want to ask you something, and I want you to really feel it before you answer. What would it mean for you to fully believe, not just intellectually, not just on the surface, but in your bones, in the deep quiet part of yourself, where all the truest things live? What would it mean to fully believe that you are exactly where you're supposed to be, that nothing has been wasted, that the heartbreak served a purpose, that the waiting is not a punishment, but a preparation, that the version of you being built right now, in this exact season of difficulty and uncertainty and growth, is the version that your children are going to need. Not the version that skipped the hard parts, not the version that had it easy,